Hey, sports history fans, this is Ariel Gonzalez from Wrestling with Heels On. Hey, when you go to a sporting event, you don't go there to be meek and mild, unless you live in Japan. You go there to get freaking wild. That means bringing some attitude to your amplitude. How do you do that? You get Racket. R-A-K-I-T. Racket combines a compact 7-inch megaphone, 8 powerful adjustable LED lights, noisemakers, an insert you design, and it's all fully customizable to match your team's colors. Now here's the coolest thing about this product. J.J. Abraham, the founder, was the ultimate cheer dad. He followed his daughter's cheer group around the country, and he saw parents struggling using all sorts of crazy contraptions to make some noise for their kids. And then he had an aha moment. He thought, wait, why not combine all of these doodads into an all-in-one compact device for the ultimate fan? JJ and his team worked 3 years on developing version after version after version until they finally landed on Racket, R-A-K-I-T, so you can make some noise and cheer and be a part of the action. So get out there and let's get loud. Bring a racket to your next game or competition to cheer on your favorite team or athlete. You can customize your racket with your own logos, drawings, and names. Get beads to match your team's colors. Flashing lights add to the excitement. Are you ready to make a racket? Be part of the game. Each racket pack comes with 1 racket megaphone, 1 lanyard to keep a hold of the thing, 2 scratch-resistant bead packs, 1 clear and 1 color of your choice, and a 10-pack of customizable self-adhesive inserts. Currently on sale, wait for it, $24.99. To pick up your racket today, head to myracket.com. That's myraket.com. Now get out there and make some noise.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Now, live and direct from the press box at Old Comiskey Park, it's time for When Football Was Football. Let's join your host, Joe Ziemba, with another forgotten tale from Chicago's pro football history. Let's go!
It's always great to talk football in December, and welcome back to our mini-series here on the Sports History Network, where we're covering the Chicago Cardinals' last championship in 1947. Today, we're headed back to December 13th, 1947. With the Western Division title of the National Football League on the line, both the Bears and the Cardinals continued their pregame preparations for that upcoming contest 75 years ago today. By Saturday, December 13th, 1947, both teams were confident in their game plans and overall preparation for the battle to be held on December 14th at Wrigley Field in Chicago. With both clubs checking in with 8-3 records, only the winner would move forward to the upcoming NFL championship clash against the still unknown Eastern Division champ. Much was going on around the league in the waning days of the 1947 season, including the announcement of the league's All-Pro team, selected by United Press International. Only 11 spots on the first team were available, which considered players from all 10 teams in the 2 divisions. Perhaps in a tribute to the power of the 2 Chicago squads, 6 of the 11 first-team members were from the Windy City, 3 from the Bears, and 3 from the Cardinals. The 3 honored Bears were end Ken Cavanaugh, tackle Fred Davis, and quarterback Sid Luckman, while the Cardinals who were named to the list were center Vince Bononis and Mel Kuttner, and fullback Pat Harder. 2 more Cardinals, quarterback Paul Chrisman and halfback Charlie Trippi, were selected to the second unit of the All-Pro squad, and Jim Keane of the Bears was also on the second team. With all of this star power on hand and the Western Division Championship at stake, it was not surprising that a huge crowd was expected for the game on December 14th at Wrigley Field. Andy Frain, and yes, there really was an Andy Frain, who was in charge of the Andy Frain Ushers, urged attendees to arrive early for the game. He said, "This will be the largest professional football crowd in Chicago's history. If the fans will cooperate by entering the gates early and taking their seats, we can avoid congestion. With the game starting at 1:30, everybody should be in his seat by 1 o'clock. Also, as expected, local discussion focused on which of the two strong teams would prevail, as exquisitely captured by the Rock Island Argus, which said, "Speculation as to who will come up with what ran rife in Chicago, not only because this two-way quest for renown is new to local football annals, but also because whoever wins the Western Division title is considered a copper pipe cinch," get that, to wipe up the Eastern winner in the subsequent championship game. The newspaper also pondered the possibility of trick plays being utilized on the field, saying, "The two clubs are readying strange things for each other. Plays where the halfbacks change places with the tackles and the center runs with the ball. Plays to challenge the running savvy of the Bears, McAfee, and the Cards, Trippy, and the passing eclat of Sid Luckman and Paul Chrisman, Bear and Cardinal triggers, respectively." Yes, the old trick plays, and this is where we left off in our last episode. You will recall that Coach Jimmy Councilman of the Cardinals had plotted out a surprise play to start the game that he was confident would result in a quick touchdown. Councilman's plan was to force the Bears' slowest linebacker to guard the Cardinals' fastest halfback, Babe Dementchev, on a quick passing play to open the game. However, Dementchev had failed to show up for practice to learn a new play from Monday, December 8th through Friday, December 12th. It was now December 13th, the day before the biggest game in Cardinals history, and Dementchev was still not on hand. However, Councilman was aware of the situation and not at all bothered by it, for Dementchev was with his wife at a local hospital awaiting the birth of their child and sleeping on a folding chair each night. Councilman understood this loyalty and later explained in his own inimitable style. "I asked him if he could drop by practice and just run through the all-important play that we had built around him. I couldn't help saying that this game Sunday was pretty important to all of us, and although I understood his feelings perfectly, it was rather awkward to have the key man in our key play getting into condition by sleeping on a chair every night." He agreed it was a shame. Meanwhile, the usual frigid conditions in December in Chicago were becoming evident. Both teams abandoned their usual practice spots and moved indoors for their preparation that week. The Bears left Wrigley Field for the Chicago Avenue Armory, while the Cardinals departed Comiskey Park for the 124th Field Artillery Armory on 52nd Street. Due to the importance of the game, both teams relished their privacy, according to the Chicago Tribune, which said, "Coach Jimmy Councilman announced flatly that the Cardinals' practice sessions would be secret, and they were." While the Bears were not so insistent on the strict secrecy sessions, those fellows doing duty outside the Chicago Avenue Armory were not walking up and down the street just to keep warm. In an effort to maintain some protection against the elements for the Wrigley Field turf, the gridiron itself was covered with a tarp and mountains of hay, 11 tons of it. Tickets for the contest were at a premium, and the Bears began to offer standing room only tickets on December 13th. In addition, a plan was agreed upon to address that possibility of a tie game in those days long before overtime play was initiated. Should the game end in a draw, the two clubs would meet again the following Sunday, which would be December 21st, in what was defined as a sudden death event. Injuries were reported as minimal, and both rosters were near full strength. Each team was well prepared, relatively healthy, and ready to go. Following the birth of Babe Dementchev's daughter, Councilman was pleased that Babe would be available for at least a chalk talk before the game to learn the concept of the trick play. Councilman said, "He said he'd be here and would have a cigar for me, but I had the feeling that this time that the cigar would be all I'd have to show for the game with the Bears." So, could the Cardinals finally surpass the Bears? Would the trick play with the rusty Babe Dementchev work? Please join us tomorrow as we travel back to December 14th, 1947, and we'll answer those questions here on the Sports History Network.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com. Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, aka the Football History Dude, and I hope that you enjoyed this recent episode presented by the Sports History Network and were able to learn some good old-fashioned sports history knowledge nuggets. I started the Sports History Network back in 2020 with the mission to help podcasters find a community of like-minded sports history nerds, as well as helping aspiring podcasters to start their own shows. We have a little bit over 30 shows on the network right now covering all sorts of sports history, but as far as I'm concerned, we're just at the toothpick in the ocean moment, that can't even figure it out because there's so much more coming. We wanted to create the ultimate headquarters for sports yesteryear, starting with Podcast Network and our website, but we're going to continue to move into other mediums as well. And here's the cool part, because we want you to be part of our team. So if you're interested in starting your own podcast, or maybe being a guest on one of our shows, or who knows, maybe even writing an article for us over on the website. Seriously, all you gotta do is reach out to us on the contact page over at sportshistorynetwork.com. You can be as technologically savvy as a Neanderthal tapping on a stone trying to figure out this whole hieroglyphics thing back in the day. Again, it doesn't matter, because even if you don't understand the whole podcast space, we have a production team that can pretty much help you out with doing everything. All you gotta do, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com, head to the contact page, fill it out. That message goes right to me, and I'll reach out to you as soon as I can. But for now, dude, I'm through if you're through.